do.
It's as
but
good
then
as
let Nigerians know that the National Assembly will still do their job.
Still do their job. All right, then let's move straight to our next conversation. The Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi, is never afraid of making public comments. But his latest comment on the economic policies of President Bola Tinubu has attracted admonition from the federal government. It was bold and clear. Said, and I quote, "We don't need your stamp of approval on the policies of the government." Now, the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, was told to rise above personal interest and partisan undertones and prioritize the greater good of Nigerians. Reacting to Sanusi's decline to offer any advice to the administration, the federal government, in a statement, affirmed that the reforms are already yielding measurable progress, especially in the unification of the exchange rates, which has bolstered investors' confidence. All right, what do you make, first of all, before we look at what the Emir actually said, but what do you make of the federal government's response to the comments by the Emir of Kano about the president's economic policies? What do you make of it?
The only surprise would have been that if government did not respond.
Oh, you would have been surprised there was no response.
So it's a normal thing. You know, anyone will definitely want to put up that defense. Anyone will want to, because in the first place they will say that, did we even seek your advice? Okay. But then everybody and anybody is free to make his own opinion or advice known. I decided to look at the video in context. I decided to read every word that he said. I decided to listen well, because, you know, that's the essence of journalist hangout. Sure. You don't just jump on headlines. You understand?
We dig deep for the stories.
So
exactly.
Basically, what I found that is, initially I thought it was journalists asking him to advise, but I realized that it was while he was speaking as a guest speaker, and was meant to speak on economy, was meant to speak on many issues. And when he got to that place, he did say that he doesn't want to speak because people who are not trying to be his friend, though they are his friends, he would also want to be their friend. So this was more like a conversation. And trust me, if you're dealing with federal government, you're dealing with government, just know that words cannot just be swept under the carpet. So having said that, I think for me, I know the federal government will not take the words of former CBN governor lightly. And the import of that statement was that many journalists jump on the story and it was trending. So whatever he says, it means that it carries some level of weight. And that's why you can get the response of the Minister of Information, who is like a ranking minister. Having said that, it's just to say that whatever you have said is to say that government, you are the one to explain to Nigerians. I would not do your job for you. But what the federal government, in full context, what the minister said is to let us know that, hey, you may not have the patience, you may not have the strength to face the criticism that we are ready to face. Because when we want to take this decision, we never deceived Nigerians that it was going to be an easy path. We never deceived Nigerians that it's going to be a walk on the path. We knew there was going to be heavy criticism against us, and we are ready to go through that process. So I think that's the divergent views between these two people. Because if you listen to him, he said partly better for Nigerians and partly avoidable. So this was a man who could have gone into analysis of what the government is doing. But he said, let me leave it, let me not take the bullet. Let the people who are supposed to take the bullet. And they've come out to say that, hey, we do not need your stamp, you know. So go ahead with what we are convinced about.
All right, Dr. Let's focus on the communication aspect of the things he said in the Emir's comment. In your opinion, is the Tinubu administration doing a good job in effectively communicating the president's policies to Nigerians?
I think what I can read completely so in what the Emir said was saying to the federal government, you didn't back me to return as the 16th Emir of Kano. As such,
So
I'm not going to talk to you because you are supposed to, we are friends, but you are not helping my cause.
Is that your interpretation
That's the
of the
interpretation.
comment?
That's the interpretation. Go back and read those things. He expected support from the federal government because his friends are in government in Abuja.
So you're not looking at it from the things he said about the economy?
I can't see anything he said about the economy. Did you see one? I didn't see it. Because what he said basically was, it's your problem. Come and explain it to us. But what does he want the federal government to come and explain?
He talked about the policies.
What are the policies that he spoke about?
But I'm asking you.
I'm just saying, see, what he has done was purely political.
Do you share the same view?
Let me quickly read it to Dr. I'm not disagreeing with
because
you.
Because that point where he said, you're not my friend.
I read it.
That's where I'm focusing on.
According to him, in quotes, I can give a few points here about what we are going through and how it was predictable and avoidable.
Yes.
But I'm not going to do that. I have chosen not to speak on the economy, reforms, or to explain anything because if I explain it, it will help this government. But I don't want to help this government. They are my friends. But if they don't behave like friends, I won't behave like friend. Continue, he said, quote, they don't even have people with pedigree. Now, that's attacking personality.
Okay.
They don't even have the people with pedigree that can come and explain to the people what they are doing.
Exactly.
I'm not going to help. I started out by helping, but I'm not going to help. Let them come and explain to Nigerians why they are pursuing the policies they are pursuing. So,
that is where I'm bringing my question.
I understand you.
Exactly.
I'm only saying,
you're just speaking that part.
Yes, because that part is what is of concern to him. You are supposed to be my friend, but you are not my friend, so I will not help you in any way. He did not come to. He did not. The only thing he did in that thing that he read now was an attack to say they don't have good people who can speak. But he did not even address any particular issue to say you are not explaining this to Nigerians. Because I took time, I read it, and then he said nothing other than to say you don't even have people.
Sorry, I'm not doing your job, but let me just add this part. He said, but I will say one thing though, what we are going through today is at least, in part, a necessary consequence of decades of irresponsible management.
Yes.
People were warning that if we continue the way we are going, this is how we will end up, but they refuse to listen. I think this can be put in context. Yes. Subsidy removal.
I agree with you on that.
Hold on. Okay. I still want to go back to that point where he said they don't have the people, the right persons that will communicate the policy. Now, I'm asking you again.
Yes,
I need you to address that part.
I was going to go there.
The communication part.
For me.
Does the administration have the right persons that will communicate the policies of the administration to Nigerians?
Have we not been, have we not been hearing from government? We have been hearing. In fact, I would say, in terms of detailed explanation, this is one of the few statements that did not, because if government had taken time to look at the root of that comment by the Emir, it had to do with you didn't support me. So I would have expected that statement to have pointed in that direction by saying, if you're expecting government to come and support you, you saw what the minister wrote, that is doing so from a standpoint of selfishness. So if government doesn't have people who can explain, I wonder if he can offer that explanation, because we've been on this for long.
Now, still talking about the response, the federal government said the Emir should be more constructive in its criticism and not come from the partisan point of view. But what's your interpretation of this? Was he constructive in his criticism, or there was some sort of political undertone?
So since Dr. has spilled the beans.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, I think, like you said, government should have been more frontal to let us know that, excuse me, this is a judiciary matter. This case has gone to court. And if you say this is democracy, allow the rule of law to take its course.
Exactly.
Good. Maybe because it wasn't very clear, so government decided to be also nebulous in its response by being unclear about it. So for me, for the deeper insight, for the purpose of journalist hangout, where they take issues beyond the headlines, is just to say that this is only a political spat between the government and the former CBN governor. Let him allow the court to take its course. The case has gone to Supreme Court. Let the court determine who the real emir is. So I want to toe the line of Dr. that this is more political than economic.
What do you make of the response by the federal government?
That's why I said the response adequate, but the government should also have helped Nigerians to put in context what Sanusi said. Because if you fail to put issues like that in context, people will believe that there is something that he knows which is superior to what those who are in power are doing. We've had this conversation over and over again, over this subsidy. It was not as if the governments that came before now did not want to do it, or because of one party or the other. Jonathan was in PDP. He didn't.
In fact, Sanusi was even was one of the people.
You know, we've had APC government. It wasn't done, but this has been done now.
But okay, let's also twist it. Let's twist it a bit, because we need to go on this quick break. Traditional rulers meddling in political matters. How salient is this if we want to achieve an effective... Was the emir wrong to have given an opinion?
In my view, it may not be popular, but in my view, I think this idea of when you become an emir, forget every other thing, I am not in support. This is something he has been for years. This is somebody who rose to become a CBN governor. This is somebody who was an MD of top banks in Nigeria. And you just say, okay, now that you're an emir, be quiet. But the other part of him that is a bit controversial is that it comes across as more of an activist. So if, as an activist, this is someone who hardly follow any government of the day. So I would not want to say that emir should keep quiet, Oba should keep quiet when there are issues in the country. Their subjects are affected by the issues, positively or negatively. But but people want to remind Sanusi that this was your albatross. This was the problem you had that made a sitting governor to get ousted.
Exactly.
And it takes another political force to bring you back. However, it's just it's probably in the game. But I would not want to say that traditional rulers should keep quiet on national issues.
On national issues. All right, we need to go on this quick break, gentlemen. And when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere. Still Journalist Hangout.